cutting through all the campaign rhetoric and getting to the issues that affect you. We asked the Republican and Democratic candidates for governor these same questions to focus on policy and solutions. Why have you chosen to run for the office of governor in North Carolina?
I love North Carolina and I believe in the promise of the state. It's why I'm running for governor. I think that if you work hard, where you come from should never limit how far you can go. And for us to deliver on that promise, we have to invest in our people and their future so that together we build a safer, stronger state where the economy continues to grow and work for more people, where our public schools are excellent and our teachers well paid, where our neighborhoods are safe, and where our personal freedoms are protected.
Well, we knew from the moment that we ran, when we won the lieutenant governor's seat, and if we did a halfway decent job, we knew that the governor's mansion was going to be, the seat was going to be open, and that people would probably call for us and want us to run. We feel confident that we know enough about what the governor does and the role, and we feel confident that we can fill that role to a high degree and do a great job. And so we decided to go ahead and take that step. Plus, people just, I almost want to say people expected us to do it, but folks really were calling for us in earnest to run, and so we decided to take the step.
What differentiates you from your opponents?
From my opponent in particular, the biggest thing is this. I mean, you look at the record of the party that I'm in and the record of the party that he is in this state. When he was in the legislature and they had control of this state was in, it was in absolute, in an abysmal state. We were $6 billion in debt to the federal government. Teachers didn't get a raise for 6 years. We were furloughing state workers because we couldn't afford to pay them. We were in terrible shape. Republicans came in 2010, took over the legislature, and since then, you know the metrics: $5 billion surplus, #2 business destination, #1 2 years running prior to that, and everything's on firm financial footing right now. And I've been part of that team since 2020, and I'm going to continue to work with those folks to continue to build a state that's even greater than we found it when we first came.
I have a track record these past 8 years as Attorney General and before that in the state Senate of fighting for the people of this state and delivering, whether it's the opioid crisis, leading the bipartisan coalition of state attorneys general to hold the big opioid drug companies to court accountable to the tune of nearly $50 billion, whether it's eliminating what had been the largest backlog of untested rape kits in the country, finally delivering justice to survivors, or it's defending successfully Obamacare to the U.S. Supreme Court, or defending our students' constitutional right to a sound basic education, or defending women's right to choose, and defending everyone's right to vote. I've been fighting for people and delivering. My opponent, he just fights these job-killing culture wars. He doesn't have any accomplishments to speak of. He would drag our state backwards. I want to move us forward. My campaign's about hope. His is about hate.
Explain what you see as the most important issue facing North Carolina.
There are a couple really critical issues. One, making sure that our economy works for everybody, building it from the bottom up and the middle out, making sure that folks have an opportunity to earn a good income, no matter where they live in North Carolina, including our small towns. So that means the second one, having public schools that are teaching the young people the skills they need to succeed, whether they start college or they start their career. College is not right for everybody, and someone shouldn't have to go to university in order to get a good paying job to provide for his or her family. So I want to strengthen career and technical education programs, apprenticeship programs, to make sure that folks have every opportunity to succeed.
The #1 issue, as always, is our economy. And you say that, and people think, well, that's just one issue, but it's really not one issue, because our economy is propped up on 5 pillars, and the pillars it's propped up on are public safety, public education, healthcare, infrastructure, and housing. The governor appoints the people who are over those agencies that hold sway over those things, so the governor has a unique, plays a unique role in helping to supercharge that economy and to make those things great. And so that's the #1 thing that we're facing right now, and those are the #1 issues.
How are you uniquely qualified to address that specific issue?
Well, I think the one thing that we bring is we bring a fresh perspective. I'm not a career politician. I bring the perspective of the average everyday person. The common sense solutions that we use in business, I believe we need to start applying that in our government. And we want to streamline government. We want to make it more efficient. And again, bring some new perspectives to the table.
Well, I've been fighting for young people's educational opportunities as Attorney General and before that in the state Senate. I recognize that teachers are the most important in-school factor of student success. And honestly, it pains me that the Republican legislature has dropped North Carolina to 48th in the country in per pupil investment, 49th in funding effort, 42nd in starting teacher pay, lower than every state that borders North Carolina. I've seen this development with my own eyes, and I'm ready to get in there and fight for better pay for our teachers, more support for our educators, and stronger public education for all our young people.
What do you believe is the most significant issue regarding jobs and the economy, and how would you address it?
Well, we need to continue to recruit good paying jobs to North Carolina, and manufacturing is going to be core to that. We have to have a workforce that can meet the needs of industry. You know, having Toyota invest $14 billion and create thousands and thousands of good paying jobs here is fantastic. The transition to electric batteries is going to be a critical economic driver for North Carolina. So we have to make sure that the workers have the skills that these companies are looking for when they're deciding where to invest.
Right now, I think the number one thing facing us that we need to ensure, and this is always something we need to ensure, we need to make sure that our state is financially stable and secure. That is the biggest thing that our legislature has done that has helped us the most. Our state right now is financially secure and financially stable and fiscally responsible. That's paying huge dividends right now with this storm. We have the ability, we have the money, we have the capability to take care of Western North Carolina because the state is financially secure and fiscally responsible.
What do you believe is the most significant issue regarding education, and how would you address it?
The biggest issue facing education, I believe, is leadership at the top, number one, the state school board, the leadership at DPI. Number two, the big issue, I believe, in education is bureaucrat heavy at the top. It needs to be less bureaucrats. And when we talk about getting rid of those bureaucrats, we're talking about taking those funds we're paying for all those bureaucrats, taking those funds and adding that value directly into the classroom. Chiefly among that would be teacher pay. And so I think that's the number one issue we got to face in this state right now. Our education bureaucracy is too heavy.
Well, to recruit and retain the best teachers, we have to pay them more. And we are at the bottom, 48th in the country, and per pupil funding investment in the state of North Carolina, which honestly is a disgrace. And as somebody who went to North Carolina public schools, my wife went to North Carolina public schools, her mom was a public school teacher, all three of our kids went to North Carolina public schools. It really saddens me to see how the Republican legislature and my opponent, Mark Robinson, want to hollow out our public schools and even worsen the lack of investment by taking $500 million of public taxpayer money away from public schools to give to unaccountable private schools and wealthy families.
What do you believe is the most significant issue regarding health care, and how would you address it?
Expanding Medicaid was a game changer for us here in North Carolina. Already more than 500,000 of our neighbors have health insurance today who did not in December. So when they get sick, they can go to the doctor instead of going into bankruptcy. We have to build on Medicaid expansion and get costs down, expand access to quality, affordable health care. We also have to understand that access to health care includes access to reproductive health care. And as governor, I will veto any further restrictions on women's reproductive freedoms, unlike my opponent who wants to completely ban abortion in North Carolina without any exceptions whatsoever.
The biggest issue is just how the state is. I mean, you got Western North Carolina has its own set of challenges. The middle part of the state has its own set of challenges, and the eastern part has its own set of standards. The way we need to tackle healthcare again, we need to return back to the people who do it best. And the people who do it best are not the bureaucrats. The people who do it best are the people that are honestly trying to deliver great healthcare on the ground. We need to bring those people to the table, get their advice and consent, and we need to do it in each one of those individual places. We cannot have a blanket plan across the board for healthcare in this state because we have a state that looks so different from one side to the other.
What is the best advice you have ever received?
The best piece of advice I've ever received is if I keep my hand in God's hand, He'll lead me to great places.
From my folks, it's leave the world a little bit better than you found it. Like none of us can change the world, but every one of us can make it a little bit better.
Make sure to watch News 12 on election night for up-to-the-minute results on all of the local, state, and federal elections.